in line, lower class and social slime. They don't matter, genocide. Sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air. Fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids. No one makes countries lie to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgives. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social side, they don't matter, genocide. Sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. See the shit, force of air. Fuck them back, that's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids. No one makes countries lie to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again.
Welcome to the show. This is Game On here on UCY.tv. I'm your host, Ron Stevens, and I will be that for the next hour. And I was just thinking of the Reichstag, over there in Germany a long time ago when they were getting things wound up when they burned that down. And I don't know how many more false flags it's going to take to wake the American people up. I saw an interesting thing today, it says that this supposed shooting in this gay bar in Orlando is the worst mass murder in American history. And then I saw a native group put up one, I forget which slaughter that was, but claimed that to be the worst act of terrorism on American soil. And then I saw another one that somebody put up that the Branch Davidian was the worst case of domestic terrorism or murder in American history. But you got to understand, it was commercial interests that did all of these things. It wasn't the American people that did any of these things. It was commercial interests that did all of these things. It was corporate slaughter is what did all these things. And that's why it bothers me that the American people and the Canadian people and the Australian people and people around the world keep themselves separated from each other. We are all one. And I don't mean in terms of United Nations all one. We are one people, or we should be one people. I've said this a gazillion times. When the settlers came here, they got along fine with the natives. Okay? They were all brothers and sisters. How many settlers did the natives help out? How many would have perished if it hadn't been for the natives? Hordes, I would think. So when are we going to get our act together, people? It's the people. What it is, it's the people. And I'm not about, I don't get me wrong, I'm not part of the Occupy movement that was set up by the very corporations that deceive us and trick us and abuse us and enslave us. And those people that are attached to Occupy need to wake up to that too. But we got to come as a people. You know, why do the whites hate the blacks and the blacks hate the whites and the Hispanics hate the whites and the natives hate the whites? And why do the whites hate the blacks and the Hispanics and so on and so forth? Why? Because they were trained to do so. It was suggested to them, and the etymology of suggestion is something evil, wicked. And through these suggestions that the native people are savages, the unsuspecting believe they were savages. They're people. They're men and women. I don't even like the word, I'm always talking about people don't use the word human, because human is similar to, like, but not, to color up, just like the legal system is similar to, like, but not law. Both are color of. They're both fictional. And people, the word people seems to be a very disparaging term of men and women. They are the masses, the lowlifes, the not cultured, the not worthy of. I mean, there's so many disparaging terms about the word people. It's rather disgusting. You know, even the word feces. Suppose and means people, means the masses, the low classes, those with no class. That would be 99.9% of the people on the planet. We got to come to terms with this stuff. I mean, how much, we got the yoke of tyranny around our neck. Are we just going to keep letting them put the weight on it till we can't breathe anymore? Now, speaking of tyranny, this is how low this is getting. I saw this on Facebook earlier, and it's a story about a man getting ticketed after handing change to what he thought was a panhandler. And when I read that, I just posted up on my Facebook, which is actually it's called Rock the Boat Radio, which I'm going to change all my shows to. But anyways, all I wrote was, there's a guy standing at an intersection in Regina, Canada, with a cardboard sign saying, "Broke, anything helps." So anyways, all I wrote was, how low can they go? We pay their wages, we pay for their uniforms, we pay for their guns, their tasers, their handcuffs, etc. We pay for their cars, their fuel, the maintenance. We pay for their pensions. Why do we do that? Because in reality, all they are is legislated thieves. And it's time we wake up to that tyranny. Now, if I can find that story here, I'm going to paste it in. Where did it get to? Where? Here it is. And this is out of CTV News. Man has been handed, or received, man who received a $175 traffic ticket for unbuckling his seatbelt to give change to what turned out to be a cop posing as a panhandler is likely to think twice before giving to the less fortunate again. Dane Rusk was driving away from a mall in Regina on Wednesday when he spotted what he thought was a panhandler on the side of the road. As I came up to the stop sign, I stopped and looked, and I saw this homeless guy holding a sign, Russ said. I instantly felt sorry for him. That's when Russ said he took off his seatbelt and grabbed $3 out of his pocket. I reached out. I had to undo my seatbelt, hang over at my door, like off out his door a bit, and dropped the change on the curb. Russ told CTV Regina. Moments after dropping the change, Russ was pulled over by police and issued a ticket. I said, what do you mean? I didn't talk to any police officer, he said. Well, yeah, you gave him money. I said, oh, the homeless guy. The person Rusk handed the change to was an undercover cop, and Rusk received the fine for not wearing a seatbelt, which he had been wearing prior to pulling up to the supposed homeless guy. Rusk said he was pretty shocked by the incident. The ticket for $175 and the $3 I gave him, I'm out $178 because I was trying to help out a homeless guy. But Regina police said this is nothing new. It's part of a project that is police watching for traffic violations at intersections. Intersections are probably one of the most critical areas when it comes to accidents, obviously. And our high-volume intersections are ones that we tend to target, said Inspector Evan Bray. So we will run random intersection projects throughout the city, i.e. trying to get you distracted, probably. Oh, we distracted another one. And I've seen things like that set up where the police are out there purposely attempting to distract drivers so they can give them a ticket. Now, if the cop wasn't there, wouldn't have been distracted. And if the homeless guy there wasn't where, or the cop dressed as a homeless guy wasn't where he was, this guy wouldn't have undone his seatbelt to get the money to give to what he thought was a homeless guy. The police officer's sign was not soliciting money in Regina. Panhandling is not considered a crime, however. The city does have a bylaw that prohibits soliciting to vehicle occupants in high traffic areas. Well, what's the cop doing? What's the cop doing as a homeless guy? He's soliciting, whether he's soliciting money or not, he's still soliciting. It's the reason Dale Lakeman no longer holds up a cardboard sign on the streets of Regina. Instead, he collects bottles to support himself. This is an actual homeless guy they're talking about now. He told CV News he feels bad for Rusk. Cancel that seatbelt ticket to that gentleman because the poor guy took pity on a homeless person to give them some money. Now, here's a homeless guy that's being perfectly logical. He's saying cancel the damn seatbelt ticket to the gentleman because the poor guy took pity on a homeless person to give them some money. Lakeman said he hopes it won't deter others from giving to homeless people. How freaking pathetic is this guy? Now, what happened to the guy's $3? Did the cop keep that? Did he bend down and pick up the $3 and put it in his pocket and then call his buddy in the car up the street and tell him to give this guy a $175 seatbelt ticket? These guys ought to hang their freaking heads in shame, is what they ought to be doing. Now, I saw that thing down in Oklahoma where they have these, what do they call them, ERAD machines, where when they pull you over and you give them your ID, they can ask for your cards. They run your cards. They can instantly get into your bank. And they can take the money out of your bank account, transfer it to their account, and then you got to go to court to prove that the money in your bank wasn't there, didn't get there, because of nefarious reasons. How much longer are we going to put up with this garbage? These people call themselves, what is it that they are doing here? what they're supposed to be doing. Actually, the police are doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. They are highwaymen, just like in the old days. They are highwaymen, and that's what they do. That's what they do. They're thieves. We pay for everything. We pay for their teeth. We pay for their health care. We pay for everything. And then they turn around and rob you. It's absolutely ridiculous. I got another story here from Saskatchewan. Now this is a little bit older story. I think, this is from March of 2015. So we had a cop there dressed as a homeless man. Up there is a decoy. He's hunting. They're hunting. He's the decoy. So he's busy doing his job as a cop, playing decoy to pull at the heartstrings of people in order to give them tickets. Oh, that's totally disgusting. That's in Regina. And now down here we got a video of we got the first thing I put in the chat there. We got in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. We got a decoy playing a homeless man to entrap people and give them tickets. In this story, we have a Regina cop kicking a homeless man to the ground. Like, when are we going to get our act together here? These are the brave men and women that they're there to protect us? What's the government forever saying? Don't be a bully, show empathy. Why are they asking people to show empathy? That's so they can basically feminize them. And so they won't stand up. And who are the bullies? The people telling us not to be bullies. Like, are we completely lame in the brain? Can we not wrap our minds around any of this stuff? It's simple psychology. We got to get our act together here. Now, I got to check this other story out. I mean, we got all these stories, right? Here's a big story. America's gun. This is a Canadian newspaper, the National Post. America's gun, lightweight and easy to obtain. Semi-automatic rifles are popular with gun enthusiasts and mass killers. And there's a nice picture of a lightweight gun there that apparently is, let's say, AR-15 semi-automatic rifle, the civilian version of the military's M16. And anybody can get one. You can probably get them in your cereal boxes in the United States because everybody's gun crazy in the United States. And we got to get all the guns. But, if Americans gave up all their guns, we'd probably stop the false flags, wouldn't we? Because, there'd be nobody to blame it on. For the first time, the finger would be pointing at the actual culprits, those that are trying to get your guns. Now, what else we got in here? Oh, Jesus! I am not going to touch that story. That story now in Orlando. I am not going to touch it. I will not give them the satisfaction of me having me suckered into yammering on about that thing. people got to get what it was and understand it, and that's all they got to do. It's like people can't connect dots. How hard is it to connect the dots? Look at all the false flags. Look at all the crisis actors. I mean, all one had to do was look at the video for a couple of seconds to realize this ain't right. Anybody see an ambulance around there? I sure as hell didn't. So, as we gear up for all the gay pride parades, expect the military and the private security firms and the corporate police to be guarding the hell out of these people. Because I guess they're special. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, you're in the middle of voting season down in America. I don't understand what that's all about. Nobody get that? It just gets more ridiculous every day. I used to think that the Rockefeller documents that I used to read and the UN documents I read for so many years was completely over the top. But now the news is even more over the top than all that junk. Flat or round? Intense dispute, not just a dispute, but an intense dispute over the shape of Earth ends in a fire in Brockville, Ontario. I'm going to read this because I don't know what it's about. More lunacy, I guess. A 56-year-old Brockville, Ontario man is being sought by police after a discussion about the shape of the Earth got out of hand at a campsite Monday night. Holy sweet bejesus, eh? Holy crap. Police are seeking this guy after a discussion about the shape of the Earth got out of hand at a campfire, or a campsite Monday night. Brockville police and firefighters were called to the St. Lawrence Park at about 10:30 p.m. after the suspect began pitching items, including a propane tank that belonged to his son and the son's girlfriend, into the campfire as the discussion became heated. Police say the argument centered on the woman insisting the Earth was flat, while the suspect countered that it is round. The man had left the area by the time police arrived and firefighters doused the campfire. This is in a national frickin' newspaper in 2016. Excuse me while I throw up. And one of my favorite topics, I guess that was kind of a science topic there, and here we have another science topic. Apparently, the science is on the verge of a nervous breakdown. Well, it's about bloody time. Because I got no use for science. Because I got no use for deceivers. I got no use for manipulators. And I got no use for what science, if it ever was legitimate, certainly isn't today. Junk Science Week. Science is on the verge of a nervous breakdown. Welcome to FP Comments, 18th Annual Junk Science Week, dedicated to exposing the scientists, NGOs, activists, politicians, journalists, media outlets, cranks, and quacks who manipulate science data to achieve their objectives. Our standard definition over the years has been this: junk science occurs when scientific facts are distorted, risk is exaggerated, and the science adapted and warped by politics and ideology to serve another agenda. This, of course, is the same paper that was promoting wind energy and solar panels and well, man-made global warming. But we'll let that fly while we read through this. Much of our content over the past 18 years has focused less on science itself and more on the NGOs, politicians, and others who have found it convenient to use and abuse science as a springboard to political action. It is easy, perhaps too easy, to follow the empty-headed foibles of a media culture that mindlessly recycles reports that bacon may cause heart disease or that cell phones cause cancer. Less easy is dealing with the much bigger problem, the breakdown of science itself. In The Guardian last week, Jerome Rivets is considered one of the world's leading philosophers on science, reviewed what he and many others described as, quote, the crisis in science, unquote. Rivets, who has been warning of the emerging internal conflicts in science for decades, sees the crisis as spreading to the general public. Given the public awareness that science can be of low quality or corrupted, that whole fields can be misdirected for decades, see nutrition on cholesterol and sugar, and that some basic fields must progress in the absence of any prospect of empirical testing. The naive realism of previous generations become quite medieval in its irrelevance to present realities. Present reality is that science is on the verge of a nervous breakdown. That's the not-so-tongue-in-cheek message in Science on the Verge, a new book by European scientist Andrei Stellini and 7 other contributors. Science on the Verge is a 200-page indictment of what to the lay reader appears to be monumental deterioration across all fields from climate science to health research to economics. The mere idea that the most published research results are false, that was quote, should be cause for alarm. But it is worse than that. The crisis runs through just about everything we take for granted in modern science. From the use of big data to computer models of major parts of our social, economic, natural environment on to the often observed uses of statistical methods to fish for predetermined conclusions. That is the problem reaction solution. Create a problem, but you already know what your solution is because that's your goal. The goal is the solution. How do we get to the solution? Well, we need a problem. And how do we get the problem from the problem to the solution? Mostly through the media and through the schools. Okay, so they're the ones, and the NGOs and the politicians, they cook up the reaction. And then eventually the politicians who were involved in this from the get-go go, well, this is what the people want, so we're going to legislate these new rules. That's how it operates. It's how it's always operated, and it is a complete and total fraud against the good people because you're funding all this nonsense. We should be absolutely ticked off. Examples from the book help prove the point. In a chapter titled Numbers Running Wild, one of the book's authors, Joseph P. Van der Slurpees of the University of Bergen, asked how it is possible for a paper in Science magazine to claim that precisely 7.9%, not 8% or even 7% of the world's species would become extinct as a result of climate change when the total number of species is unknown. Even odder, this species studies concluded that 7.9% demonstrates the importance of rapid implementation of technologies to decrease greenhouse gas emissions and strategies for carbon sequestration. I can't have a hard time with that word. How, asked Van der Slippies, do the researchers jump from species extinction to carbon sequestration? This sounds like an opinion for which the underlying arguments are not even given. Other examples come from economics, a science filled with unwarranted claims to certainty and predictability. Science on the Verge recalls Nobel economist Robert Lucas' 2003 declaration that the, quote, central problems of depression prevention have been solved, unquote. Also noted is a 204 claim by former Fed Chairman I love this guy, Bernanke, that the volatility of business cycles has been tamed. These and other economic blunders lead to critics to suspect the discipline of economics had reverted to or never developed beyond a state of immaturity. Few fields and practice are exempt from scrutiny, and Science on the Verge, in the chapter on evidence-based science, Andrei Stellelli, also at the University of Bergen, spreads the net wide. Quote, "It is futile to expect, for example, that modeling approaches which have failed to predict a purely financial and economic crisis will be able to inform us accurately about the behavior of a system involving institutions, societies, economic ecologies. Yet this is what we do when we apply the techniques of cost-benefit analysis to dimension of climate change," unquote. This kind of quantitative approach to complex systems, says Steltini, can only foster abuse and corruption. It would be wrong to suspect that Science on the Verge is the work of right-wing activists, climate skeptics, and hide-bound traditionalists. It is the work, rather, of scientists with a range of ideological views, despairing over what appears to be a fundamental breakdown as science has become more and more enmeshed in the business of providing evidence for policy making. Science, in short, has already been corrupted. We explore just some of the examples in this year's Junk Science Week, including the GDP factor myth, sugar scares, the social cost of carbon, the last pesticide, a Roundup, killer lipstick, and our annual Rubber Duckies Awards. So, a lot of people have taken issue with me the way I have no use for science, which I've been saying for years, and I don't have any use for science because it's you heard it here in a mainstream media, and I'm Alex Jones. Look we've been lied to since the day we were born, okay? If you can't start there, you're going to struggle, okay? You believe this, but you won't believe that. And a perfect example of that is a lady I met when I was back fighting windmills way back in 2006, 2007, 2008. And she was a real firecracker. And she understood the fraud of wind energy. They were coming. They put up so many of them. She's right depressed now. It was science that caused her depression, I guess, because it was science that was telling us that these stupid windmills were going to allow us to get off fossil fuels. That was just a crock of nonsense, and it remains a crock of nonsense, and every politician that was ever involved in it ought to be put in jail for it. And every scientist that promoted it, and every financial paper that promoted it, all ought to be in jail. Because they're all involved in a massive fraud, and fraud is against the law. Pretty simple when you get right down to it. But this lady, and I love her, she's a real cracker and worked her tail off, man. But you see, her husband works for Agriculture Canada. They went to school at the University of Guelph, I believe, which is the agricultural university, which teaches people how to farm. Like farmers don't already know how to farm. No, you got to go to school to be taught to farm because your parents and grandparents were too stupid to farm right. Those were the stupid people that actually grew healthy food. Those were the stupid people that didn't poison the land with the pesticides. So you have to go to school to learn how to farm properly. So he's tied up with Ag Can that he does some work for. They grow beans or whatever they grow down where they are, southern Ontario. And we were talking one day, and I brought up GMO foods. And this is about being compartmentalized. God, I'm having a hard time talking to you. Anyways, she knew that the green energy was a fraud, but she didn't understand that GMOs were a fraud. So she's defending the GMO movement while beating up on renewable energy. and I've been trying to explain this for people for years and years and years, quit looking at one stupid tree. Try taking a look at the frickin' forest. I see this all the time. People are bitching about fracking, but they love green energy. The same people are running the two frauds. The same groups of people are financing the same fraud. But people can't seem to get it through their thick skulls. People don't understand that the LGBTQ whatever is part of a scam. People just don't understand much. They can't put the dots on the page and then take a simple pencil and draw the dots together and see the picture. And what's the picture? Simple. Isn't the only hope for the planet the industrialized nations collapse? Isn't it our responsibility to help bring that about? Say to globalists? Everything that is going on in our nations that doesn't make sense to Joe Average is just part of the chaos process to get to where they want to get to. Order. Kind of order. A new order. A new order of what? Magnitude. A new world order. A new global order. Complete and total enslavement and control over every resource on the planet. Why is that so hard for people to understand? Well, they want our guns. They want your head on a block is what they want. Save the water. The water costs too much now. Don't use fossil fuels. I can't afford my electricity bill. Is this that difficult, people? The scientists said. Slap a scientist. Next time you see a scientist, give him a slap up the back of the head and tell him to smarten up. Why do we have science everything? Everything has science attached to it. The science of this, the science of that, the science of this and that. Why is science attached to everything? Because the scientists are the new frickin' priests, of which you are not supposed to question, you lowly masses of people. All you're supposed to do is finance your own demise. You finance the scientists. You finance the universities. You finance the politicians. You finance the police. You finance the preachers and the teachers. You're financing everybody that's lying to you, manipulating you, and deceiving you. Maybe we are just the stupid masses. Maybe we are just the feces on the earth. Maybe we're just getting what we deserve. I don't think so. I think we just got to smarten up a bit. Can't be that damn difficult, can it? I don't think so. But, so for the first time, I see it's not just me that's denouncing science, which I've been doing for many, many years. Finally, we have some scientists denouncing scientists. And I don't know who paid them to do that, but maybe they were just sick of the nonsense. Who knows? But it's nice to see that I am not the only one. So let's make next week Kick a Scientist Week. And then the week after, Slap a Politician Week. You know, we can do like the UN. You know, they got a day for everything. They got a week for everything. They got a month for everything. They got a year for everything. You know, it used to be Gay Pride Week. Now it was Gay Pride Day. Then it was Gay Pride Week. Now it's Gay Pride Month. We got to get our own days going. You know? shake a preacher, pastor, priest day. Like I don't know, put a kick me sign on the back of a teacher week. Whatever. Handcuff a cop to a tree month. Just do whatever. But we got to start pushing back, and we got to quit. We got to quit making excuses. I don't know how many people over the years, they'll be. I'll take a run at some scientists, and they go, "Well, you're just being ridiculous." There's scientists, Yeah, I know what they are. You apparently do not. Okay? And this is all through suggestion. They suggest that scientists are these brilliant people. They're a bunch of idiots that doing what they're told to do for a paycheck. If I was a cop and my boss says to me, my boss, the police chief, now we have inspectors, right? We used to have secretaries, now we have secretariats. We used to have the heads of this or that, now we have czars. Okay, why is that, do you wonder? Because it's the Sovietization of the West is why. Go listen to the Reese Commission with Norman Dodds. He'll spell it out for you. And then you'll know. Well, that was a long time ago, people say. Yeah. Yeah, these are long-term thinkers and movers and shakers. Okay, and they've got us down to the point where we got like about a 30-second span before we're. I mean, you put it more than a 5-minute video on YouTube anymore. People can't deal with it. It's too long. You give them more than 4 or 5 paragraphs to read, they can't deal with it. Like a bunch of gerbils bouncing around. And the planners are laughing their asses off, man. Laughing away, thinking they got us where they want us. Well, I don't believe that. Not for a minute. Call me silly, call me optimistic, call me whatever you want to call me, but don't call me late for dinner. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think we had the capacity to beat these suckers back. I know we have the capacity to beat them back. We just got to quit fighting amongst ourselves, get the blinders on, and pay attention to what's going on. And it will be fine. Here I got a picture on the front page of a guy who looks like he's a Muslim, and Islamic face says kill the gays, but this guy looks very Muslim. I'm next, I'm dead, survivors recount hours of the shooting as the shooting unfolded. Now here we have a map of all the mass shootings in the U.S. since January 2016, and I find this difficult because I don't see hardly any land. All I see is dots of the mass shootings. How many is there? Like 6 a day? This is nuts. What do we got here? A map of all mass shootings in the U.S. since January the 1st, 2016. That's like 6 months ago. We have, what do we got here? I don't know where I'm going to put this in here because I know I got American listeners. I don't know, man. There's a lot of, since in the last 6 months, there's been, I can't even count them all. I can't count them all. So I'm going to put this map in here of all the mass shootings since in America since the first of the year. Now, I don't know how many Americans are going to agree with this map or not, but I'd be interested. I have no clue what all these mass shootings are in the U.S. since January the 1st. That's freaking freaky. That is really freaky. No, this, I don't know what, no, this is off of, where did I see that? Which news story was that in? That was in this one. This is a CTV, the Canadian Television. I don't even know what CTV stands. I haven't watched TV for so long. I don't even know what these channels stand for anymore. Whatever. According to the Gun Violence Archive, where these numbers come from. So it comes from the Gun Violence Archive, whatever the hell that is. Since January 1st, 2016, there have been 136 mass shootings in the U.S. alone, leaving 212 people dead and another 548 injured. According to the Gun Violence Archives, where these numbers come from, a mass shooting is defined as 4 or more shot and or killed in a single event incident at the same general time and location, not including the shooter. With June 13th being the 165th day of the year, there has so far been approximately 0.82 mass murder shootings per day. So that's just a little bit under one mass shooting per day in the United States. I don't know where they're getting this crap from. So it's a zoom in map and click each marker for details. And we'll go from there. And yes, I see that we had a shooting at a Walmart in Texas, which I'm not going near either. We've got new research by the scientists lays out kids' sleep guidelines by age. You'll have to know that if you have a kid, because you probably don't know when to put your kid to bed or when to get your kid up. You know, we're so stupid, the masses, that we have to have somebody tell us everything, because we're too stupid to figure it out. Now, this one here, this story here, I'm running out of time, but this story here, I think I saw something about this last night. I hope it is. I hope this is a story. 26 people wounded in Paris. Protests. And the 26 people were mostly police that got injured. Now, I think I saw a video last night, just when I was booting around, that it looked like it was definitely a protest, and it looked like the police were being run out of wherever the hell they were at. I think that was the thing in Paris. Some 20 police officers and 6 protesters were injured in Paris Tuesday as the projectile-throwing demonstrators angry over an unpopular labor reform clashed with French riot police who responded with tear gas. 7 unions and student organizations planned to protest against the proposed law to loosen labor rules, which saw crowds in central Paris swell into the tens of thousands. Some of the participants later turned violent and vandalized shops and a prominent children's hospital. Paris police official Pervert said in addition to the 26 injured, some 21 people were detained during the day's action against the law. that is currently being debated in the Senate. Now, speaking of the Senate, there's a word called veto. Now, when I look up the etymology of the word veto, who has the veto? The president? The Senate? Who has the veto, according to etymology? And who is supposed to serve the people? The government. The people do not serve the government. The government serves the people. And who has the veto on any new law being proposed? The people. You look up the word veto in etymology and you will find that the veto is in the hands of the people, because the government serves the people, and when the government proposes a new law, the veto is in the hands of the people. They decide whether or not that new law will pass, not the Senate or any other legislative body. The people have the veto. We better go get that back. Because if we had the veto like we're supposed to have the veto, I would think that 99% of the laws that enslave us would be vetoed. And then we could get on with our lives. Anyways, so let's see. I think this was the one. It looked like the people had had enough, and with these stupid people dressed up in the clothing and the shields and the helmets that were bought by the people, were sick and tired of being tear gas and that. Health Minister called the damage shameful and its perpetrators hooligans. Yada yada yada. Now I want to finish this show tonight on a happy note and see if it's correct. I saw it this morning. I don't know if that be the case or not. It was on one of these rags, and it says Richard Simmons is now a woman. Well, of course he's not. Just like Jenner is not, never will be, nor can be, a woman. So, let's see. The published for Richard Simmons on Wednesday slammed reports that the fitness guru has absented himself from the public eye to hide the fact he's living as a woman. Fox News, Richard Simmons is transitioning to a woman. Richard Simmons published his report to response report he's living as a woman named Fiona and taking hormones as Richard Simmons' woman sex change, the National Enquirer. Richard Simmons calls BS on report he's becoming a woman. But he can't become a woman. That's the beauty of it. You could, this world is, well, if you look up the word diversity in etymology, what are you going to find? Evil, wicked, and so on and so forth. Okay? They're building the new Babylon. All you got to look around. I saw a thing in Germany that a grade 5 class in Germany, grade 5 kids. What do grade 5 kids want to do? They want to play and have fun, not sit in the prison system all day, which they're doing. They just want to play and have fun and use their natural instincts to learn. Now, we all ought to be suing our local school boards. We all ought to be suing the school pension funds, the teachers' pensions funds, worth gazillions of dollars, because there isn't a one of us alive today that wasn't mercilessly lied to deceived, propagated to, propagandized with completely false garbage. In other words, your entire schooling was a fraud, which, of course, against the law. So, well, I'll put in a claim of fraud and harm done because it did harm you. That's what the whole school system was about, to cause harm to you, not to give you any useful knowledge. I mean, did you get through school and know anything about law? Of course not. Did you get through school and know anything about real economics? Of course not. Why would you teach your slave anything useful? That would be just plain stupid. But they told us they were teaching us something useful. That's the fraud. Deception is fraud. You were deceived in school. That's a fraud. So we ought to go and, empty out the pension funds of these fraudsters, call themselves teachers. Anyways, 5-year-old kids in a school in Germany, 5-year-old kids, 5-frickin-year-old kids being given books in school with graphic pictures on how to put a condom on your partner. We're talking grade 5. You want to mess somebody up, start early. Call it MK Ultra or whatever the hell you want to call it. But there's a very wicked cult running this world. And it has got to be stopped. And we are the ones that are going to stop it. Because we are the ones that are being harmed. And they're harming your children, your grandchildren. And if you can sit back and allow this harm to continue without even so much as raising your voice, well, you ain't a man and you ain't a woman. Maybe we are what they told us we are, feces. And that's pathetic. So let's get our act together. Let's stiffen our spines, stiffen our minds, and make a commitment to each other that we're taking our lives and our lands back. Period. Set a goal, just like they set their goals. Only our goals are honest. Our goals are worthy. And if we do what we need to do, we'll win. Forget the fear. Just ignore what they're doing and let's go take it back. Let's not get suckered into this nonsense anymore. Game over. Oh, for crying out. I want to thank Otto. I really want to thank Otto. Look at America's Rudy Giuliani. Oh, man, that breaks me up. Thanks, Otto. Thanks, listeners. Thanks for opening the chat. Thanks, Bill DCY, for giving me this time. Everybody have a great night. And I don't know. Maybe Richard Simmons is standing on the phone right now. I don't know.
They kill, they massacre, they burn the kids. No one makes gun. Trees, laugh to your face.